Greetings everyone, once again is Motawase here sharing the authentic truth brought to us by Zulu Lassan in this time, in this era, who is the only teacher. So before I begin, I would like to thank Loba, the only and unique creator, to have allowed us to know the truth in this time through his mysterious son, Zulu Lassan. So without any further ado, we are going to be sharing a teaching given to us by Zulu Lassan regarding the Black people lost heritage or Black people lost inheritance. So it can be inheritance or heritage. There is a misconception and there is a lie that is being going on in the world currently where many people don't know the truth and don't know the truth about who are Black people, who is the Black man, who is the Black person, who is the Black race. Because when Black people are, for example, in other countries, other people are going to tell them, go back where you come from, or they're going to tell them, you come from monkeys, or go back to Africa, because for those people who have hate and hatred, they hate Black people, and some Black people don't know their identity. So when they will be faced with those claims, they will be faced with those people who will say to them that they are the inferior race, or they will claim or will tell them go back to Africa. They won't know what to answer. So today we're going to reveal, by the manifestation of the grace of Loba, not only who is the Black person, but the lost heritage as well, the lost inheritance of Black people. So there is many sort of inheritance. When, for example, in families, you can inherit from your parents either a car or a house or land, wealth, physical wealth, visible that we see. And there is also other type of wealth that is spiritual wealth. So, here we're going to talk about the inheritance and the wealth and the inheritance of Black people. And we're going to see in many dimensions. We're going to see in the physical sense, the lost inheritance, and also in the spiritual sense. So, for that, we are going to go in Bibèl, which is the only authentic Bible by Les Éditions Zulu Lassan, and I will be translating here in English for us. We're going to go in Bibèl Tedzi, which is Origin, chapter 1, verse 28, which says this. The manifestation of the will of Loba had blessed the collective existence, and had declared to them collectively the manifestation of his holy law through the intermediary of the mutatedi, the entity, through the verb, saying, I establish you heirs of the universe, and also giving you the entire continent. Period. So here in Origin, chapter 1, verse 28, you're told that the manifestation of the will of Loba blessed the collective existence and had declared to them collectively the manifestation of his holy law through the intermediary of the mutatedi, the entity. Now, who is the entity? The entity is mutatedi. He is the one who guides the initiates. And who are we referring to here in Origin chapter 1 verse 28? So in Origin chapter 1 verse 28, you have to understand that it is referring to the first man. And the first man is not the one who you call or people call Adam. The first man is Moto, and he was black. That is the truth. The first man and the first woman on earth visible were Moto, and he was black, and the first woman was Muto, and she was black. So both of them were black. And they were created by the manifestation of the will of Loba. And here in Bebotedi chapter 1 verse 28, so in Origin 1:28, he says this: the manifestation of the will of Loba had blessed the collective existence, and had declared to them collectively the manifestation of his holy law through the intermediary of the mutatedi, the entity, through the verb, saying. So he declared to them too, so Moto and Muto, who were the first man and the first woman who were black. Because when we talk about inheritance, we have to talk about an heir. And who is the heir of the visible, of everything we see, of the universe, of the earth, of the land, all that we see? Who is the heir of that? Who has inherit everything we are seeing? Because everything was made and was given, the visible thing that we see, the universe, the earth, and the continent, the wealth. It was for Moto, the first man. So, it says this after, I establish you. So you is referring to Moto, the first man, and Muto, the first woman. I establish you heirs to the universe by also giving you the entire continent. Period. So the continent, the land, was given to Moto and Muto. So they were the true heirs. Spread and multiply, fill the continent and subjugate it. Universally hold the empire and dominate in the fish and in all life forms of the oceans, in all things enjoying vital movement in the visible plane, and even in the first two marine monsters, so sea monsters, known as Sangwagungwangwando, Behemoth, and Ekokotangungwangwando. So, here, it says that the continent was given to Moto and Muto. And it was told to them to multiply, to spread and multiply on the earth. Fill the continent and subjugate it. So they had to dominate on the earth. Universally, hold the empire and dominate in the fish. Because in the current classical Bibles, it says to dominate on the fish. It's not on the fish, it's in the fish. Because, so it is in the animals. Because the first man had to dominate in the animals, also in their spirit. Because the fish, the animals, they have what we call a physical body, a natural body, and a spiritual body. And the first man had to dominate in all of them. So in all their consciousness. He had to be the master of all that, of the animals. So for that, he had to dominate inside them as well. So inside their spirit as well. And the astral being and physical being. hold the empire and dominate in the fish and all life forms of the ocean, in all things enjoying vital movement in the visible plane, and even in the first two sea monsters known as Sangwagungwangwando and Ekokotangungwangwando. So, here, he was in the visible. That was way before the other race came along. Because here we're talking about origin. And that was before the other race. The other races. So the whites and the mixed bloods. So the air of the earth, of the universe, was Moto and Muto. So the other nations did not exist. And here it says, and I establish you heirs of the universe by also giving you the entire continent, because at that time, at that period, it was one block, it was one continent. And the continent is what is currently called Africa. But the true name is Wasi, the continent, the block. So that was before the displacement of the little fragment of the continent. So that's how the universe was given, because they were placed on earth, Moto and Muto, and they were heirs to the universe. So the first heir on earth was Moto. So if the first heir on earth was Moto, and he was a black man, and he was given the earth and the continent, that means the land, the whole land. How is it then that today we see many people trying to say to some black people, go back where you come from, when the continent itself, because before it was one block. So it was one block, one continent. And it was given to the first black man. So, and currently it's only the portion of the blocks that has dispersed, that went there and over there. So that's still the same block, is still part of the same continent. And it was given to the black man. So that means everywhere the black man is at home. He's not a foreigner. He cannot be a foreigner on earth. Everywhere on earth, the black man is at home. So that's the truth. Now, we see here in Wunja, so that means Isaiah chapter 19, verse 25. It says this: Mutatedi, so the entity, will bless them again, comma, saying, blessed be Jene. So Jene is Egypt, is currently known as Egypt, but the true name, the ancestral name, was Jene, which means to see. So here it says in Wunja chapter 19 verse 25, in Bibèl les éditions Zulula 100, Mutatedi, the entity, will bless them again, comma. Why does it say here will bless them again? Because they were already blessed. Because we know that Moto and Muto, they were blessed. And the descendant of Moto and Muto, they were also blessed. And here in Wunja 19:25, Mutatedi, the entity, will bless them again, comma, saying, blessed be Jene of the black race. So blessed be the Egyptian of the black race. Why does it specify of the black race? Because when you see currently the Egypt, there are some people who claim to be Egyptian currently, and they are not black. That's why there is the precision in Bibèl, because the verb already knew, and the prophets already knew and had prophesied, and in the prophecies, it's with precision, because they knew that at some point in time there will be some Egyptians, so-called Egyptians, that are not black. That's why it says here, blessed be Jene. So the Egyptians, Egypt, of the black race. In bracket, Wasepongo, meaning North Africa. So Wasepongo, North Africa. Comma. And Namala. In bracket, Wasejedu, East Africa. So Namala, Wasejedu, and Namala, it's in East Africa. Comma. Tombonebila, Wase Mutonga, Central Africa. And the other black people known by the two are all also known and heirs to the universe by Moto and Muto. So by Moto, the first man, and Muto. So Jene, Namala, Wasepongo, North Africa, of the black race. Namala, East Africa, Central Africa. So, and the other known black people. So all these are black people. The known black people are blessed. The known by the two are blessed. And they are the heirs to the universe by Moto and Muto, because the universe was given to Moto, the first man, and Muto, the first woman. And it was told to them to multiply and to spread, to dominate on earth. So the blessing was also given to their descendant, He says here, are all also known and heirs to the universe by Moto and Muto, and also the source of the light of the graced, non-initiated black people. So, they were blessed again, also because they had been manifold. Because when Moto and Muto, they were blessed, their existence was blessed. And after, there's been many complications, meaning there's been the fall and other sort of fall as well. And there has been the apparition of demons and other races. And so their demons came on earth and the other race. And they wanted to take the earth and to dominate the earth. As we can see, even today, the other race are trying to dominate the earth, as it was back then. And that's why they were blessed again, those black people, after the many fall, after the other race came. So, all known blacks are blessed. And they are heirs to the universe, to the continent, to the land, to everything we see. So, if they were blessed, what happened? We have to understand that the inheritance you can lose it. And that's what we're going to be talking about. You can lose the inheritance. And how do you lose the inheritance? By going in other religion, other form of beliefs that the other people invented, or that goes against the law, that goes against the verb of loba. That's how some black people have lost the inheritance, have lost the heritage that was given to them, that belongs to them, because they are descended from Muto and Muto. So that's why you see now many black people in other form of religions, in other beliefs, and they are lost in those religions. And we see the current state of the world. Because we can see with colonization, and with the wars and the other nation that go in Africa on the land to pillage the resources. So that's how the other races are able to take advantage of that fact, because their inheritance was removed from them, from those black people that go in other form of religion and beliefs. And to understand better, we're going to go in Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 36. So Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 36. It says this: from far away, from the extremity of the earth, Mutatedi, the entity, will remove its protection, so will come the whites and the mixed bloods, So that's how it starts. It starts from the spiritual plane, because Mutatedi is the one who guides the initiates. He's the one who guides the black race. And when they've started to, here it says, Mutatedi will remove his protection. Why did he remove the protection? What was he prophesied here? That Mutatedi will remove the protection, his protection, at a point in time. Because some black people went against the law, went against the verb of loba, and followed their own path. And in that, the protection was removed spiritually by Mutatedi. The protection was removed. And once the protection is removed, so will come the whites and the mixed bloods. So the other race then will come, because they were already exposed, the black people, that the protection was removed. It's like a person without an immune system, without antibodies. And then he goes outside. What's going to happen? The viruses, the disease are going to catch him, are going to go after him. And because he doesn't have the antibodies, he's not going to be able to defend himself. So that's what it says here, that the protection was removed. And then the white and the mixed blood will come. And then they will attack. He says here, so will come the whites and the mixed bloods, that many of you know the language. Period. Because at the time of colonization, How did they speak to one another? Some black people knew the language of the white and the mixed blood because they learned it. They've learned it. And they knew it. That's why it says that many of you know the language, period. The white and the mixed bloods will rush against you, comma, like an eagle rushing toward its prey, period. So, like an eagle, they will rush against the uninitiated black people. Because the eagle, before he rushed toward his prey, he's going to study the prey first. He's going to know where he's going to catch it. He's going to know how he's going to catch it, which tactic he's going to use. He's going to bring him up in the air and drop it. Because he knows that the animal, the prey, for example, doesn't know how to fly. So he study first, the eagle study first its prey. And that's what it says here. The whites and the mixed blood will rush against you. They will rush. And that's what we have seen in history with colonization and the wars, pillaging, and so on and so forth. Like an eagle rushing toward its prey, period. With whipping, comma. So whipping. So, as you know, that's what they did during slavery at a period in time. They were whipping some ancestors. Some non-initiated, they were whipping them. So with whipping, cunning, comma, betrayal, comma, murder, and lack of knowledge on your part, comma, you will gradually lose your heritage. That's how it happened. That's the prophecy. So, it says here that the other race will come with whipping, cunning, betrayal, murder. And it says here, lack of knowledge on your part. And of lack of knowledge on your part. So that's how it happened. And he says here, you will gradually lose your inheritance, your heritage. Because the heritage was given to Moto and Moto, like I've said. And the known black race, the known black people are blessed. But when the protection was removed, and on those uninitiated, the other race then attack. And when they attack, they are trying to steal something. They are trying to make you lose something. They are trying to steal. They're stealing your wealth, the land. And so on. The heritage from the work of the manifestation of the will of Loba, comma, which has also blessed you with the blessing of great and deep deposits of kerosene, in bracket oil, so petroleum, comma, gas and other riches of the soil known only to the initiates who are found in the depth of the earth. Period. So for that, the whites and the mixed bloods will deliver you to torments, comma, and you will hate one another. Because we know that some in Africa, on the land, there is so much wealth. In the earth, on the ground, there's things that people currently don't even know that exist. That's why you'll see other races, other people, for example, the Chinese, the Russian, they will search in Africa, they'll try to investigate because they were trying to find the resources. He says here, which has also blessed you with the blessings of great and deep deposits of kerosene oil. Because we know in Africa, there's a lot of oil, there's a lot of wealth, gas, and other riches, so other wealth of the soil, known only to the initiates, who are found in the depth of the earth. So for that, the whites and the mixed bloods will deliver you to torments, comma. So they will deliver them, the uninitiated, they will make war to them, pursue them, just so for the wealth, for what's on their ground. So, some black people who are out of Africa, when they're out of Africa, people are going to tell them, some people are going to try to tell them, oh, go back to Africa, go back to your land, go back where you come from. The people who are in the diaspora. And when they go in Africa, because of the way they speak, because of maybe the way they dress, or because of their conception of things, in Africa, other people also going to tell them, oh no, you're not African. You are an European. You see? And some black people are not going to know, well, when I'm in Europe or when I'm in the US, they're going to tell them, no, go back to your country. You're not truly an European or you're not truly an American. But when they go back in Africa, some black people are going to try to tell them, no, you're not truly an African because, no, you're an European because of the way they are. You see? So some black people are not going to know who they are and where they belong. All that is because of the lack of knowledge. Like I've mentioned, the whole earth was given to Moto and Muto and to their descendant. That means everywhere on earth, black people belong. They are at home. So that's the misconception of history. So Europe, Americas, Asia, Australia, all those lands, they are fragments of the original continent, of the original block. So all the countries or the land are black people land. Don't get it twisted. Don't have the misconception that you are a foreigner. For example, if you live in Canada, or if you live in France, or if you're in Germany, you are at home everywhere. The known blacks. Black people are at home everywhere. So, It's like a homeowner. The homeowner is Moto. It's Moto. So it's the black race. It's black people. So if you're the homeowner, and in your house you have many rooms, and let's say some people go in that room, are they then the owners of the house because they are in that room? Are they then going to tell you, no, go back where you come from, when they are in fact in your house? It's like that. So who has the papers of the house, of the land, of the continent, of the earth? It's Moto. So Moto has the papers of the house. So, you know, those without papers, because there is that notion of people without papers on earth. It's not only on earth, it's also in the spiritual. The people who don't have papers is the other races. They are the one who don't have papers, because the papers is Moto, and the earth, the ground, the soil, the land, the continent, everything is to them. So the state of the world is like this. Of Africa, as you can see, as you can learn, it's like that because the protection was removed. And the protection was removed because many black people, a great portion of black people went and followed their own path. They went and followed fake religions. They went and followed their fake beliefs, invented. And that's why the protection was removed. So, some people are going to try to say, no, the first people in Americas, it was Indians. It was, yes, the Indians. That's what they're going to try to say. The natives, they're going to try to claim that the natives are the so-called Indians. That's not true. The first people living that went in that land, in those lands, all over the world, even in Americas, was black people. You have to research. Black people were there first. They were there before slavery. Before slavery, they were already there. They were living there. When some whites went there, they saw them. So black people didn't go in America, did in that land the first time by slavery or by or taken there by the other race. No. The Indians are, who are they? They are what we call mulattoes, meaning they are mixed bloods or so-called half-breeds, because they are the descendant of some black people mixed with other race. So that's who they are, because black people were there first with their, and then you can see their children, which are with their children with other, their descendant of the portion of the half-breed portion. So we also see the lost inheritance in Psalms 79 verse 1. It says this, Psalms of Iba Keme. O Loba, the whites and the mixed bloods have invaded the heritage of the original people, comma. They've profaned the continent, comma. They've made of Longanapi a subject of mockery. So here in Psalms is the Psalms of Ibakeme. So even before, the person known as Bele, Jeremiah, had his complaint, Ibakeme also complained about that situation. He says the whites and the mixed blood have invaded the heritage of the original people. Because that's what they are trying to do. That's what they are doing. They are taking. And it doesn't belong to them. He says here, they've profaned the continent. They've made of Longanapi a subject of mockery. So Longanapi is known as Jerusalem, and that's in Central Africa. Bele, Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 4, it says this. So I invoked Mutatedi, the entity, and said, remember, Mutatedi, the entity, of what happened to us, comma, look, comma, see the opprobrium of the uninitiated. Our inheritance to us blacks has passed to whites and mixed bloods. So that's Bele Jeremiah, who also complained of the situation, because the prophecy in Deuteronomy that the protection will be removed and they will lose, some black people will lose the inheritance. That prophecy, it was through many periods. So a different period of time, a different era, in different centuries, that thing happened, where the uninitiated, because of their rebellion, because of their ways, because they were going against the law, and they were going in other religion, following their own path, and not the word of Loba, because they rejected. That's why the protection was removed. And the protection was removed, and they were then subjugated by the other, and their inheritance, their wealth, their land, their riches were then taken advantage of by the other race. So, like I've mentioned, there's the visible inheritance. So, we're going to dive deeper into how the land, the inheritance, is taken away, and how the inheritance to us blacks has passed to whites and mixed bloods, as Jeremiah mentioned. We go in Kundumane, Mula. So that's Jokisabe, the true Christ. So the gospel of the true Christ. Chapter 30, verse 1 to 14. It says this. This is the plot against Jokisabe. 3 days later, during the night, several high-ranking whites and mixed bloods dignitaries plotted against Jokisabe in these terms. Faced with such a chief consecrated initiate, our very knowledge is only illusory. Period. So, that's the plot against Jokisabe. Several high-ranking white and mixed bloods. Because when Jokisabe was speaking, the true Christ, who was black, some people will, when the true Christ, Jokisabe, is speaking, his knowledge that he has is superior than the knowledge of the whites and the mixed blood. It's like, to compare, it will be like someone from in university dealing with people in preschool. So that's what the whites and the mixed blood were faced with when they were facing the knowledge of Jokisabe. That they understood that their very knowledge is illusory, so doesn't even exist. It's the same thing currently. It's the current case as well of Zulu Lassan. Because the knowledge that he has, the fake pastors, the other people, they cannot compare. So it's only illusory. Verse 2. For such knowledge cannot and should not be within the reach of the black man, comma, even though he is a chief consecrated initiate. Period. So, that's how they were, that's what they were saying. That the knowledge that Jokisabe had should not be at the reach of the black man. So the knowledge that as well Zulu Lassan brings, it disturbs. It confuses some people. And some people cannot deal with it. So that's why they're trying to hide it. They're trying to suppress one. The only teacher, Zulu Lassan, is making some videos, for example, regarding COVID or regarding other matters that penetrate the consciousness and liberate. And it's of high value. They're going to try to hide. Or they won't be able to. You cannot even debate. Because when the other race are fighting, or when they want to tell black people, no, go back to your country, or when they're going to try to claim that they are the superior race, when they'll try to be racist, they'll try to hate on black people, try to use the N-word and so on, denigrate, or they're trying to bring science, they're trying to bring a sort of knowledge. They're trying to say they know how the universe began. But when the true teacher comes along, when Zulu Lassan is here, he tells the things how they are. He revealed to us the truth. And that scared them. He says here in verse 2, for such knowledge cannot and should not be within the reach of the black man, comma. Why? Because that knowledge, if the black man takes that knowledge, accept the truth, there will be damages, indivisible. Because when the protection is removed, is because of a reason. When the protection is removed. Now, if the black men go back and take that knowledge, the truth, so reject all the religions, reject all the fake beliefs, the cult of the ancestors, the Isis, Osiris, the so-called fake god of the Egyptians, the all sort and form of religion, all the religions in the world are false. When they're going to reject that and come to the truth, to Zulasan, to the true knowledge, that protection will be there. And that blessing will be there. So that means they will no longer be subjugated or be taken advantage of. It says here, verse 3, and one of the high dignitaries resumed and said, according to some initiates and some prophecies of black people, this man would have come from beyond this visible reality. Period. So you see, because they've learned, they've researched the prophecies of black people, of the prophets to come, of what's going to happen, of the things that were being said in the black community. So, and that's the true Christ that came beyond this, the visible reality. Verse 4. Then the chief of the high dignitaries disputed and said, frivolous words. The theories about the existence of this man must remain hidden from ignorant black people, comma, as well as those of our race and other people. You see? So that was their plan. That's how it happened. That was their goal, to hide the true Christ, to hide who was the true Christ, to try to falsify his story. That's why you'll see many fake religions with fake saviors, with the fake Jesus that never existed, with fake savior here and there, even the fake Egyptians after, the uninitiated Egyptians who were believing in Osiris, and even in ancient Africa, some believed in Jake or other fake Christ that did not exist. But the true Christ is Jokisabe. And that's whose stories, history, they try to hide, try to remove from the current day Bible that you have. Then they change his name. They say, no, it's Jesus. They change his color. They change his place of birth. They change they put a fake date of birth, and so on. People will claim, no, he was born the 25th of December. That no, he was born there in the current so-called Israel. That he was so-called white, or is a fake Jew. They're going to claim he's a fake Jew, but when the picture that they're going to show you is going to be of an Italian. You see? Confusion, mistakes, errors, and that was their goal. And black people, some ignorant black people, you're going to tell them that the true Christ was black. He's not going to believe. He's going to say, no, what are you saying? The Savior cannot be black. Because they themselves, they don't even value themselves. They don't even think highly of themselves. They think they're nothing. So for them, the Savior of mankind cannot be black. That's how they think. Because they're already been brainwashed to believe in lies, to accept lies, and they don't even know their history. They don't know who they are. They're lost. They're sheeps following the fake religions, fake beliefs, full of lies and contradiction. And when we are sharing with them the truth, their true identity, we tell them the true Christ is black, they are the one who will come up and trying to debate, trying to justify the heresy that is the fake Jesus. Even the fake Jews in the current day Palestine in the current day Israel, they don't even believe in that fake Jesus. But the ignorant black people, some ignorant black people will come and try to defend that abomination. Simply because they were born in it, their parents were born in it, and they went to church, they went Sunday church and so on, and they were baptized. Some of them were baptized, and then they're gonna think, no, it's the truth. They don't want to change. They no longer want to think. They have accepted that fake Jesus, and then they'll try to say, no, if you reject Jesus, that means you reject God. You see, because they're already blinded. They don't even want to listen to reason. That's what religion does. That's what religion has done to them. They no longer want to listen to reason. They are in darkness, following lies. It's proven to them that the fake Jesus never existed. There's no proof of his existence. Nothing proved that he existed. Even some historians have demonstrated that he never existed. They still don't want to believe. They still want to persist in the lie. Isn't it the same ancestor, their same ancestor who were beaten to follow that fake Jesus, and now they're willy-nilly, they're willingly accepting it. When some ancestors were whipped, beaten, to accept that fake Jesus. You see, they don't know history. They don't know history. You see the churches in Africa full. Many churches, many fake religions. But you see the state of the continent, you see the state of the land. Whoa. What's going on? Where is the protection? What did he save you from? Because they'll say, no, Jesus saved, but he didn't save black people. Because you see, black people, he didn't save you from colonization. He didn't save you from slavery, that fake Jesus. You see? Because he doesn't have power, because he doesn't exist. Verse 5. So, Kundumane chapter 30, verse 5. He says this. For that, we have to modify their writings and prophecies by changing the names and colors, as well as the words, languages, places of birth. Period. And that's what they did. They've changed the history. They tried to change the history of black people, of what happened in the black race, in the black community. They tried to remove they try to falsify history. And they'll try to show that no, black people didn't have technology, they didn't have knowledge, they were living in caves or they were living in the woods and they didn't build anything. That's what they were trying to claim, because they try to falsify and they will try to show you images of some black woman without the top on, like half naked. And that's the images they're going to show, and they're going to claim that that's how it was during colonization. Because their idea behind is to try to put you down, to try to make you believe that you are nothing, to try to make you believe that you don't have a history, that you don't matter. So like that, when we're going to tell you, when we're going to be sharing the truth, that we had a past, a glorious past, and that the true Christ was black, automatically some black people are going to try to say, no, what are you talking about? That makes no sense. Because for them, they're already being corrupted by the lies in their minds. Verse 6, and finally, comma. So they will do all that. And finally, we will introduce contradictions and errors. Period. So that's what they do. When you have the current day Bibles, full of errors, contradictions. Verse 7, for the people who are robbed of their beliefs no longer have an identity, comma, and thereby become subservient to other false invented beliefs, in meaning religion. It says here, for the people who are robbed of their beliefs no longer have an identity, comma, and we see that other black people, some black people, ignorant of their history, they act like they no longer have an identity. They no longer know who they are. They no longer know their importance. They'll think they'll no longer know what to answer when people are going to tell them go back home, or other people try to say, oh, you're a monkey, go back, go on the tree. You see? And thereby become subservient to other false invented beliefs, religions. And that's what we see. They are subservient to fake beliefs, invented beliefs. Verse 8. The chief of the high dignitaries continued again and said, for we must not ignore the true story of the black man, comma, that in the beginning, the Creator allowed that to him the earth be given to him alone, and his descendants are the true heirs of the visible universe. Verse 9. And in their spirit, souls, and bodies resides one of the secret of the divine, which we must extirpate before that this whole people awakened from his slumber. Verse 10, for a small number of initiates from these people know the secret of our true origin, period. And we see that. Zulasan, the chief initiates, know the origin of the whites and the mixed bloods. Verse 11, after sowing confusion and doubt in their beliefs, comma, they will no longer have protection from the divine. Period. You see? After sowing confusion and doubt in their beliefs. So that's how it happened. They will try to bring you doubt. They will try to make you doubt in who you are, in your origin. They will try to claim that no, it's the Big Bang. That's how everything began. That just like that, a big explosion. And some people are going to believe that and no longer are then going to think that the existence came because of a Big Bang. So, and they no longer believes in what the true ancestor believed in the verb of loba. Put their faith and their adherence to the verb, in the verb. So they try to bring confusions. So they try to bring fake text of a fake Jesus to try to make other black people forget their ancestor or reject the beliefs of their ancestor in the belief in Loba, the true and unique creator. So after sowing confusion and doubt in their beliefs, because we know there's been the original spirituality, the true spirituality, and that's what these whites were trying to remove them from by bringing confusion and trying to put doubt in the minds and in the spirit of black people. Because once there's the doubt in the mind, in the spirit, he says here, they will no longer have protection from the divine. So once the spirit is affected, because when we say to have faith in Loba, in the true creator, and they attack that faith, and the person doubt, and the person no longer have faith in Loba, in the true creator, and then start to doubt and is in confusion, and his spirit is affected, that means his whole being is affected. His soul and his body is also affected. You see where it starts? It starts in the beliefs, in the belief, in the faith. That's what they're trying to affect. And once that is affected in the spiritual, when some black people starting to be confused and doubted and start to follow other religion, other fake beliefs, they no longer had the protection. Verse 12. Then, so once they have attacked and put doubt, then we will appropriate all their knowledge, because when they will bring doubt, they'll try to bring some sort of form of knowledge. And because the person who accepts is now in doubt, is now in confusion, is no longer going to know what to answer, is no longer going to be able to defend or reject or refuse white people ideology. Some white people are going to claim that no, they're the one who invented medicine. They're trying to claim that they are the one who invented civilization, who they were the first one to be civilized, to have technology and so on. And because in some black people, they have the doubt, they have the confusion, they no longer know the truth, they're not going to know what to answer. And some of them going to accept everything and so on. But the truth is, black people were the first on earth. They had knowledge, technology, moto, muto, pongise, meaning Cain, the descendant, and so on. They had kingdoms. They built pyramids. They had high technology that is even today technology cannot even rival what was back then. Some black people know that there's been a glorious past, but other will still be in the doubt, in the confusion, and think that everything the whites and the mixed bloods say to them, they're drinking it like water, accepting, and because in their minds they're already confused, they're already in doubt, they have already accepted fake religions, fake beliefs. Then come out, we will appropriate all their knowledge, so they'll take the knowledge. We see, for example, the so-called ancient Greeks. We've learned in history how they went in ancient Egypt, and learned from Egyptians, and then went back to their place, back home, with the knowledge they learned. But so they appropriated the knowledge, but they don't give credit. They don't say they've taken it from them. They are trying to remove a trace and make books, text, and claim it as their own. So that's what they're doing. They go in Africa, they learn how things were done, they're trying to see, research, and then they'll go back in their land and then try to make it as if they discovered things. Technologies, you see? Technologies as well. So the technology that even we have, all that black people had the knowledge, knew. Even when you see the pyramids, white people, they don't know how it happened. Now they're trying to claim, no, it was aliens that came, because they don't want to admit, and they're trying to bring confusion and try to erase all this to try to make people believe that black people cannot accomplish anything or didn't accomplish anything. That's their goal, to try to erase, remove, and appropriate themselves everything. Science. Also science. Like I've mentioned about medicine. They'll try to claim, no, this person here was the father of medicine. The father of what? As if black people in ancient Africa, in ancient Wase, ancestral Africa, didn't know medicine, did not know how to cure diseases, how to help, or you see, they try to make themselves as if they knew they are the one who invented everything. And customs. You see, the custom, for example, circumcision. We know that black people, the black race, they are the one, because we know the custom of circumcision was given to black people. And other nations, the fake Jews, for example, then will try to appropriate themselves also that custom. Because we know, and then they'll try to say in their Bible, know that the circumcision was given to Abraham. That was the law. Then how did black people already knew that custom and were already circumcising themselves way before the other races came along? You see? Because they're trying to take. Verse 13. From this moment, our descendant will return to them and will use deceit, force, in bracket, barbarism, and charm. So they will deceit, force, as we can see with war, colonization, deceit. They'll try to come like they are just exploring, or they're trying to make alliances, but behind it's a plan to subjugate you. It's just to a reconnaissance, to spy, and also charm, because some of them will try to make alliances with mixed blood women, and that's how later on they will lose territories. As you can see, in many places in Africa, the land many whites or mixed bloods are in those lands, are in the majority in some lands, in some countries. So, that was the plot against Jokisabe, and that's how he happened, how the inheritance was lost, how the protection was removed, and how the whites and the mixed bloods went on the continent, in the continent, and appropriated and used deceit and so on to take the wealth and corrupt. That's how it happened. He says here also in verse 14. So, Jokisabe, so Kundumane Mula, chapter 38, verse 14. He says, they will take possession of the lands, houses, kingdoms, and inheritances. You see? Because we see that many black people in some territories, they've lost land, territories, kingdoms, inheritance by the end of whites and mixed bloods, because that was the plan, because the protection was removed. That's the lost inheritance that we see also in the visible. And all that start in the spiritual, because the protection was removed. So a lot of blacks people are unaware of the truth, and some of them are ignorant and will try to defend what they themselves don't understand. When we're going to talk about, for example, Samson, when he fought and killed the lion in the current day Bibles, we're going to tell them, you see that story? It can only had happened in Africa, because that's where the lions live and live. They were trying to come and dispute. Because they've already accepted the lie. Now, we're going to talk about the second phase, which is the spiritual inheritance, so the spiritual heritage. Because we know that currently there's many fake religions, and in those fake religions, they'll try to talk about a paradise, about a life after death. But all that are lies, fake. And you'll see when they'll try to represent their fake heaven, they'll paint people with with shorts, with clothes, with regular clothes on, because their paradise is still a physical paradise, is a paradise of flesh. So where are you going to after that? Which paradise are you going into? Because in the other religion, even in the fake Jews, it's only for them. Even that fake Jesus said, according to the current day Bible, that he only came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So only for the fake Jews that person came. So black people, for the fake Jews, you don't have a place in their paradise. And when you are in fake religions, that's why the spiritual inheritance, you are also unaware. And it's also lost to you. We go in Psalms chapter 22 verse 4. It says this, Mutate dit, on this day of great reconciliation, I call you spiritually, but I do not see you in the shadowy path of the valley of spiritual death. And it is at the end of this valley that the elder of the two must recover the lost heritage. So that's why Joe Kisabe came in this reality to recover the lost heritage. Because in the known reality, the known blacks already have inherited the spiritual heritage. But in the visible reality that we have here, he also came in to recover that lost heritage. Because after the fall, many black people were disinherited. So their heritage was removed from them. So that's why it's called the lost heritage. Those who are lost in other religions. Because you can be an heir, but because of your action, because of your fake beliefs, you lose. You still are black, but you're no longer known, and you're losing your inheritance. And that's also why Zulu Lassan, the only teacher in this era, in this time, came. Psalms chapter 33 verse 12. Happy the black nation which recognize and accept Loba. Happy are the initiates. Happy are the initiated people who are also established as joint heirs in the non-visible. Because they are the known blacks are heirs in the visible and also in the non-visible. So, because Moto, in the known reality, the first man, he has heirs. In the known reality, where he didn't know the fall, the heirs are there as well. And since Moto also had children in the not known reality, meaning the reality of the fall, they also receive the grace to inherit even after the fall. So that's why you'll see, for example, some black people who are very rich, wealthy, indivisible, because that's also their inheritance in the visible plane, the wealth, the riches. But there's also a spiritual inheritance. We go in Isombe. Isombe is known in the current day Bible as Paul. So Isombe chapter 8 verse 13, it says this, "And you were not given the spirit of servitude, comma, to still be in fear. But you have received the mundi, in bracket, spirit of reconciliation, by which you cry, Tete." Verse 14, "The mundi himself bears witness to our spirit that we are of the original race." You see, that's the truth. So the mundi, the spirit, bear witness to our spirit that we are of the original race. And not that the other people, even the so-called scientists, they know, then they say that the first man was black. And civilization and life began in Africa, in ancient Africa. But some will try to falsify, try to change, and try to paint the fake Adam and Eve as white. That makes no sense. Verse 15, "Though we are of the original race, comma, we are heirs of the universe." So here it says, we are heir of the universe, and we will also be joint heirs with those in the non-visible. So because there's what we call life after death, the paradise. And it says here that the black people, the prophets, the patriarch, they inherited the land, the wealth, the heritage, the visible heritage, and also in the non-visible. And that's what Isombe says as well, that they will be joint heirs with those in the non-visible. With those of the non-visible. So other religions, in other fake beliefs, they don't consider black people. And it says in Isombe 8:13, I repeat, "And you were not given the spirit of servitude, comma." You see, because you're not born with the spirit of servitude. But because of the actions, you become like that because you accept, because you're being corrupted. But naturally, you're not a servant. You're not born with the spirit of servitude, to be in fear. So that's what Psalms 22 verse 4 talk about. In Wunja, Wunja is Isaiah, chapter 63 verse 1. Loba, by the manifestation of his grace, shall bring forth from Wase a posterity, and from the Sawa tribe 2 heirs. The elected shall possess the land, and the initiates shall dwell therein. The 2 heirs from the Sawa tribes. Who are they? Who are these mysterious beings? They are the heirs of everything. Esombe chapter, so Esombe once again is Paul, chapter 40 verse 23. He spiritually stripped in the afterlife the domination and the authorities and made a public spectacle of them in the non-visible. Here in the non-visible, it's lowercase n and lowercase v. Triumphing over them on the stake. So I'll repeat verse 23. He spiritually stripped in the afterlife the domination and the authorities and made a public spectacle of them in the non-visible, triumphing over them on the stake. So that's the true Christ. He triumphed over the occult world. And that's where he takes the inheritance for the graced one. In Dale is known in the current day Bible as Peter, but they're all blacks. His true name is Dale, chapter 1, verse 65 to 67. It says this. His body of man was put to death by the whites and the mixed bloods, but Loba by the Mundi. So the Mundi is the spirit, resurrected him. Verse 66. By the power of this Mundi, he even went to awaken and preach to the souls of unconscious black men in the Mundi Makwedi, in brackets, stay of the dead. Verse 67, that is, black people who perished during the great cataclysm, in bracket, flood. So he even went in the state of the dead to save, to preach to those who have perished during the flood. That's the true Christ. Jokisabe. Revelation chapter 1 verse 26, it says this. They spiritually, who is they? Is the two sons. They spiritually hold the power over spiritual death, as well as the mystery of the key of death and of the Mundima Kwedi, stay of the dead. So they hold the power over spiritual death. So they are the one who have the power to bring you salvation. The first and the second. And we are in the time of the second. We are in the time of the second. That fake Jesus doesn't have power. The fake religions cannot bring you to salvation, cannot bring you to a so-called paradise, to the afterlife, because they don't exist. The fake religions are false. You follow that, you will perish. You perish. But the truth can save you. And the truth is brought to us by Zulu Lassan. In this time, in this era. And in the time of the apostles, it was brought by the only teacher at their time was Kundu Manimula. And they are the one who hold the power over spiritual death, as well as the mystery of the key of death, and of the Munzima Kwezi. So the stay of the dead. So that's why they have the power to give salvation, to forgive the sins. Esombe, so Saul, so Paul, chapter 40, verse 3 to 10, it says this, verse 3. Give grace to Loba, who through his munzi made us able to have part in the inheritance of the saints initiated into the light, who delivered us from the power of the darkness of the occult world and transported us to the kingdom of the two sons manifested before the non-existence of his love, in whom we have the redemption, the remission of sins. So those are the two. Verse 4. Jokisabi and the second are the great all, comma. The two sons manifested before the non-existence. The two sons manifested before the non-existence. Verse 5. For in them were created all the things which are in the great order of things and in the multiverse, and on earth in the visible and the invisible. Thrones, dynasties, dominations, authorities, dignities, domination, authorities. Everything, period. Everything was created within them, comma, and for them, through the manifestation of the will of Loba. So that's the mysterious two. Because that's what they try to falsify and try to say in the current day classical Bible, that no, everything was created for the fake Jesus and in him, and he's the one who saves, and so on. Because they've taken that and falsified the truth. The truth is, it is regarding the two mysterious sons. The first, Jokisabi, the true Christ, who is black, and the second, who is Zulu Lassan. They are the one. 6. They are before all things, comma, and all things subsist in them, period. Verse 7. They are the head of the body of the assembly of the initiates, Ebasi, the church. They are before the beginning and after the end. Verse 8. For Loba has allowed that all fullness dwelt in them. Verse 9. And you, comma, who once were uninitiated and enemies by your thoughts and by your wrongdoings and by your wrong works, comma. The verb of Loba has now reconciled you through Jokisabe and the second, comma, to make you appear holy, blameless, and without reproach, comma. if at least you remain grounded and steadfast in the faith, without turning away from the hope of the gospel which you have heard, which has been preached. So the gospel that is being preached by Seule and that is being shared here. So that's to take inheritance in the known reality after death, what is called the paradise. Esombe. So Paul, chapter 40, verse 39, he says this: whatever you do, do it of good heart, as for Loba and not for men, knowing that you will receive from Loba through the Mundi, the spiritual inheritance as a reward. Mukaisedi is known in the current classical day Bibles as Daniel. He was black. All the prophets were black. His true name is Mukaisedi, judge. Chapter 13, verse 13, he says this: and at his approach, I was frightened. Immediately, he reassured me and said to me, do not be afraid, son of Moto. Walk towards your end. You will rest in the stay of the initiates, and you will stand for your inheritance at the end of days. So that's black people lost heritage, inheritance, and how it happened, and how they can take it back by the manifestation of the will of Loba is through the second Seule, the teaching that is given. That's how we retake what belongs to us, our inheritance, in the visible reality after the fall that we see, and in the non-visible reality, in the known reality. Because there's many black people or even black scholars that will talk. They will go to talk show, radio, go on TV and complain about the situation that is going on in the world regarding Africa, regarding the black race, regarding colonization, regarding the stolen land, regarding the pillaging, the stealing of resources. They will try to make arguments, try to complain. They'll talk, but what are they doing? It's the same people that are still in other fake religions that don't exist, or worshipping a fake God, a fake Jesus, or in worshipping the ancestors, so-called ancestors, or in the voodoo, or worshipping the fake Egyptian gods, fake gods, or so-called Kamites, or so-called there's so many. All those fake religions will not bring you salvation. Will not save you. If you want to change this current state of things, you have to come in the truth, in the verb of Lopa, through the teachings that is given to us by Seule. That's the only truth, the only path of salvation for black people. There's no other truth out there. There's no other so-called correct beliefs. There's only one truth, one true spirituality, and there's one teacher, is Zulu Lassan. All the others are wolves in sheep clothing, are liars. So, all glory to Loba, the only unique creator.